Welcome to Mommy Needs a Minute. I'm your host, Kaitlin Morris, mom, entrepreneur, and just a fellow woman learning how to navigate the messy, beautiful collision of motherhood and ambition. Now, this isn't a space for perfect answers. This is a space for honest conversations, for quiet reflections, and for gentle reminders that you are allowed to take a breath, to reclaim your rhythm, and to show up as your full self, even in the middle of the chaos. So go ahead, pour yourself a cup of coffee. Let's take a nice big, deep breath, and let's take this minute together. Today, we are going to dive into those times when we just need a minute. When we just need a minute to breathe, a minute to reset, a minute to regroup. That is the premise behind this entire podcast of being in mom life and entrepreneurship life. That blend can be incredibly frustrating. It can have its moments that are very challenging, and don't take the time to identify when we need those moments and to make sure that we make time for those moments, then I feel like it really pulls from our energy as an individual. So we're going to challenge ourselves today to take intentional time to set aside moments that are just for us. One of the biggest struggles can be, where do I fit that time? Depending on where you are in your mom life, in your entrepreneurship life, some people might be able to fit in those large gaps, schedule a few hours in the morning for just you before your kids wake up, or schedule a few hours after your children go to bed. Or if you're like me, you might find yourself in a season where scheduling hours of time to yourself, it's just not happening. At the moment of making this podcast, I have a 2.5-year-old and a 7-month-old. So with their schedules and having businesses on top of that, being a wife, being the caretaker of our home, the one who cooks and cleans and manages all the projects, I find it to be incredibly challenging to identify times where I could set aside hours. So rather than setting aside hours, I personally have created tasks that allow for me to have that time. One of mine is doing the dishes. One way that I have managed to weave me time, or that minute, into my schedule is through the time I spend doing the dishes. And I know that sounds crazy. A lot of people hate the dishes. For me, it is actually a pretty enjoyable task. I like how mundane it is so that I can just spend time thinking. I have started layering positive things on top of that I truly enjoy. Personally, I love candles. I love a candle-lit space. That sets me at ease, that brings me peace. So when I'm doing the dishes, I lower the overhead lights. I light a couple of super elegant candles, treat yourself. And I have almost like if you went on a dinner date, that's what this candle setup looks like. And I set that up for myself while I'm doing the dishes. And I use that time to listen to a podcast. Very short podcast. It's only 10 or 15 minutes. That tends to be those gaps of time that we get as moms, hence the shortness of my podcast. But utilizing that time to layer in things that I love and I enjoy. I love the candles, I love the podcast, I love the quiet time, I love the mundane activity. All of these things together serve as a reset for me. So my challenge for you today is to identify what will give you those moments where you feel like you will get a reset, where you feel like your mind and your individuality and your sense of self has a moment to just be. Some of you might be able to intentionally block off a significant amount of time, depending on where you are with motherhood and entrepreneurship. But if you find that you can't,
rather than just going through your day and then ending it with, wow, I had no time for myself today. I had no time to just be. Let's make a way to intentionally schedule that time. Let's make a way to guarantee that it happens. And even if that means layering it on top of one of your tasks or duties, just find one that you happen to enjoy. I'm going to give you a couple actions to take with you today on this topic. You can journal, or you can just spend time reflecting on it. You can have a conversation with a friend or a spouse, or whatever you need in order to work through these topics. The first one being finding what would work for your schedule. How could you possibly schedule in the ability to have some time for yourself? The second one is identifying what counts as a reset for you. And everyone's reset is going to look different. Do you need 15 minutes of complete silence? Do you need 15 minutes of active movement and fresh air? And then you feel like you got that ability to regroup. My situation might not bring another person any joy at all or any reset, but it works for me. So take time today to dive into what meets your expectation of being able to take a minute for yourself and find a way to wiggle that time into your schedule.
Thank you for sharing this moment with me here on Mommy Needs a Minute. If today's episode gave you something to think about, or something to feel, or something to gently carry into your own life, I would love it if you shared it with a friend, or if you left a quick review. Now remember, you are not alone in this. You are becoming. You are allowed to take your time, and you are doing so much better than you think. Now, until next time, take one big deep breath, one small step, and I'll meet you here again real soon.